I hope you are doing well. This is just a test. This first minute is just a test, just to see if the image and the sound are both okay. If anyone is here, if you are listening to me and if you can see me, then please let me know what your feedback is. Okay. Hello, Natalie, and good evening. I hope you are doing well. It's either Natalie or Morshid, who are always the first to make it to these live sessions. Would you kindly share? So whether this has to do with Natalie or with any other friend here, I'll take some time so waiting for probably more friends to come. It looks like we have we have a connection that is not really stable, but we will try to see what we can do with that. Sibuknifi, hi, how are you? Thank you for joining. 5 people here. Let's wait for more. I'll share the link to this live session, and then I have to maybe say what I want to say to those students who asked me to talk about ESP. Si Mustafa Morshid, hello. I hope you're doing well. Well, we have found the solution. I think that the variable was the platform, because Buknifi has come before Morshid for the first time. And this is presumably because we are, we are using Facebook instead of YouTube. I don't know. How do you do it, Natalie? Natalie, nobody knows. Nobody knows what what she does. Okay, thank you. I'll take maybe 1, 2, 3 minutes. Would you kindly share this with the in groups that you think can find this of interest? I will do that. I'm sorry for the layout for today, because I'm using my mobile instead of my computer. So I'll be with you. I'll be back in a moment. So I'll share this and then be back. Would you kindly share as well? Thank you. Alors, and if there are people watching us who have not had occasion to subscribe, please subscribe to this channel, to this Facebook page. We have forgotten about it for a while, so I think it deserves some participation on your part as well. So let me see. Okay, yeah, that's it. It's here. So I think I'll have to share this in the different platforms, I guess. In the WhatsApp link, I'll copy the link. Probably that's better. And I'll have to go to the groups. Share to the groups. I don't have access to groups here. I have it. All right. So this is just like this. No groups. Okay. It's raining. Create a post. Share to groups. These are the groups. Okay. It might take some time. 24 students, or not students, friends, because we also have professors here, and we have doctorate degree holders, and we have learners, and we are all equal in this regard. Okay, and this is exactly one of the strong points of this of your academic companion, both in its Facebook and in its YouTube instantiations. All right. Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's really kind of you. You made it on time, and this is actually in response to a request made by a number of friends in regard to the end of study project. So I am responding to their request in a positive way. So I'll have to share it just on my Facebook page, just to get more people with us. And of course, you will do the job. I know Mustafa and a few other friends do share every single link of every single live, all right, to their platform. So let me, your academic companion, this is it. Voila. Voila, this is enough. This is enough. Anyway, I cannot do it in any efficient way. We have 60 people, or 60 people, 26 people here watching us. I'll have to spend some time greeting the friends here. Let me see. So Nathalie Bouknifi, Si Mohammed, okay, Si Mustafa. Yes, these are. But are there any others who have not? Just in case you cannot hear me, please say it, because I see that there is a problem with the connection, what concerns the stability of the network. Faiza is here. See, okay, I have people before, so I have Sibilal here. I have Sibilal, hello. I hope you're doing well. Si Muhsin, our friend, he is also here. Our friend who wants to learn and who wants to, I really appreciate the fact that he is very curious to know, and he's motivated. Faiza, ahlan wa sallam, Faiza, hello. I hope you're doing well. Thank you very much. Okay. Si Muhsin, you did not do my request, dear professor. Which request, Si Muhsin? Please remind me. I have so many, but let me know, please. Hello, Si Abdel B. I hope you're doing well. Si Yusuf Driwash, hello. Si Murad Hanafi, regards to you as well. Thank you very much. Okay, we probably need more people to help the channel just by subscribing, nothing else, okay? It just takes a click, so either like the page or subscribe or do both. See, Anas, I can hear you, sir. Thank you very much. Since you can hear me, since everything is on track, since everything is okay, we can start our discussion of the end of study project. So if there are students here, especially in the group who asked me, if you have specific questions, I can take the trouble to answer them without problems. Otherwise, I can talk to you in general terms about what an ESP is. Anyway, waiting for your questions. What is ESP, which is the abbreviation for the end of study project? Sorry. Some people would say end of studies project, but it can work either way. So it's more known as ESP, as an end of study project. The ESP is also known as a monograph, okay, a monograph, or a memoir. You see, it's also known as a memoir, but there are some slight differences, okay, between memoir. These are just slight, otherwise they are interchangeable without any problems. All right. So, Si Mohammed Muhajil, Salam, Prof. Amruz. Thank you very much, Mr. Mohammed. Thank you for joining us. Barakallahu feek. Thank you. اهلا استاذ رشيد خويا واو التحفه ديالنا. رشيد خويا is a dedicated teacher. He is also a writer. He is a coach, and he may have other hats. He has one on the head, you know, but he may have other hats that I don't know of. But he is someone who is accomplished at a number of things. Thank you very much, Rashid, for joining us. Thank you. Advanced grammar. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we can. Yeah, I understand you. Yes, I understand you, Si Muhsin. You can send me, you know, the specific points that you would like me to talk about in private, and then because the course of advanced grammar or grammar 3, you know, is probably there is some difference, you know, slight difference of focus, you know, as we move from one probably institution to another. So would be a good idea, Si Muhsin, to send me just your table of contents just to see what to focus on, and I will be there, you know, with that. Thank you. Is it, Si Mohammed Muhalish says, is it possible to adopt the same research question from previous study, or is that, no, it's not unethical at all. All that you need to do here, Si Mohammed, is to say that that this question has been brought up by previous research. So you may not refer just to one individual study, but to every single individual who happened to work on the same issue. All right. So so you can do that, and even hypotheses can be taken, but this is contingent on you. You see, stating that you have, not used it, but you just say that the same research question has been, or answers to the same, or this research question can be found in previous studies, or was the starting point for a number of other studies, of course. You can do that, all right? Thank you. Ramadan Kareem, Sidi Rashid. Thank you so much. Barakallahu fik. Okay. Thanks for the live session. Barakallahu fik. I'm afraid I'm missing some of the... Si Mohammed Al-Zraq, hello. Dear Professor, thanks for the live session. All the best. Thank you, Si Mohammed. Thank you for joining us. You're always on time. That's really interesting. Si Mohsin, thank you so much. Nuruddin Sabab, ahlan wa sahlan, Si Nuruddin, who we have the same name, and we are also neighbors. Thank you, Si Nuruddin. Rashid Jabi, barakallahu fik. أتمنى إن شاء الله تريد مليح. وشكرا ومكيف تدفد. Thank you so much, Mr. Nuruddin Sabab. Thank you. It's really a pleasure to have you with us here. Thank you very much. Advanced grammar analysis. That's true. That's true. Si Mohsin, that's advanced grammar. All I need is just a table of contents just to see what your teacher has focused on. And sometimes there are certain differences in terminology. And because I don't want to confuse you, I need to know what you have covered and which approach you have taken in this regard. All right? Thank you. I'm afraid I'm missing some. My apologies if I miss any of the comments here. Hanan, greetings. Thank you very much. Si Fahd, the hardworking Fahd. Good evening or great evening to you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, Si Fahd. I hope you're doing well too. Si Farid Atlasi, greetings. Thank you very much. Who else here? Teacher English, thank you very much, Teacher English, thank you so much. Amina Hamama, Ramadan Kareem, Barakallahu Fik, Munir Kbush, thank you very much. Ramadan Mubarak to you as well. Si Muhammad, thank you so much indeed. I hope you're doing well too. Thank you, Hanan. Shahid, hi doctor, hello Shahid, I hope you're doing well. Thank you. Simadi Benis, it's nice to see you great professors like you on social media and learning about. Thank you very much. Really, this really encourages Simadi Benis. Barakallahu fik. Thank you so much. What is the academic language of research? What is the academic language of research? Natalie, research needs to be conducted, to be written up in academic English, and academic English means that you avoid all colloquialisms and all characteristics of informal English. It should be devoid of all sorts of informalities. Now, if you have more specific question, Natalie, on this, then I can, answer you on the spot, of course, as I always do. Simonir Kbush, thank you very much. Okay, I think I have. I'm just repeating some of the. Natalie, Shahid Natalie. Si Said Haji, Ahlan Si Said. Si Said Haji was my childhood friend and was my classmate in the primary school. I still remember that. It was just like yesterday. Thank you very much, Si Said. Barakallahu fik. Thank you for joining us here in this live session. Si'adna Munawar. Hello, doctor. Emon Parason. Hello, professor. Send my love from... All right, you're talking to us from Indonesia. Thank you very much. That's really nice. It's a pleasure to have a friend from Indonesia. This means that your academic companion is, spreading in a slowly but surely fashion worldwide. This is really interesting. Thank you very much, my dear friend. سي محمد قرودي اهلا وسهلا سي محمد. How are you? لاباس عليك يا شيخ حفظ الله ومعين بارك الله فيك. عافاك الطس عافاك. Sib Abdrahim Buru, hello Professor Dean. Amazing Ramadan to you as well. Thank you very much, my friend. Ahmed Abdullah Buhmed, hello, thank you very much. See Yusuf Darwish, in review literature can combine raised issues and previous studies. Well, please, if I don't answer you, Yusuf, just remind me. I'll just finish these comments. It's a very good question, by the way. Thank you, Si Hamza Karahi, Barakallahu Fik. Thank you, Hamouda Sabti. So much love from El Jadida USD as the student. Barakallahu Fik, Si Hamouda. Thank you very much. It's a real pleasure to have you with us. Si Yusuf Qaisi, Muftish Gelna. Thank you. I hope you're doing well, Si Yusuf. Thank you very much. I have not heard from you for long. All right. I don't know what you did after. I don't know where you are appointed, you know. Are you in the south or just somewhere here? Let me know later, please. Thank you. Okay, my dear friends, let's just start our discussion now. If there are specific questions, then all that you need to do is type them. If, in case I fail to answer them, I fail to notice them actually, but once I notice them, I will do my best to answer them, all right? So if I do not answer your question, it only means that I have not seen it. All that you need to do is type the question again and let me, you know, and then give me just some minutes to probably to react to them. Okay, thank you. Mohammed Lamin Hassan, Mr. Nuruddin Amrouz, thank you very much. Thank you. Look at what Mohammed says. No, not save lives, not to that extent, but it's just one way of facilitating life to a number of students, you know, when they, you know, request help in regard to different subjects, of course. Anyway, what is this end of study project? The end of study project is, okay, Saatla, these types of questions, these nice requests, these legitimate requests, I'd rather see them because, you know, when I read it on the live session, I think I will forget. I'm telling you, because I have, you know, I will probably have other requests in here. Sabla, would you kindly send me a request in private so that I can, you know, attend to this as soon as possible. All right. Now, I will not read the comments. I will just concentrate and come back to the comments later on. So what is the end of study project? Well, some people don't know what to call it. Is it a PFE? Is it an end of study project? Is it a memoir? Is it research? Different students use different terms to call it. But the terms boil down to the same thing, of course. But I would like you I would like to draw your attention to the fact that for the end of study, for the PFE or the PFE, this is the French way of saying it because that's a projet de fin d'études. Projet de fin d'études, you know, that's pure French. So out, okay? Unless you want to refer to it in an informal way, but it's never a PFE, you know, in very formal setting. You know, at the English department, you don't call it a PFE, you call it an ESP. ESP is an end of study project. Now, what is the difference between an end of study project and a monograph? Well, people use them interchangeably, and that's fine. Okay, if you use them interchangeably, you are not to blame. But please don't use PFE. Okay, end of study project is some sort of extra work. Let's say, I say extra because you have other courses. You have main courses and you have end of study project. So it's not really extra, but it's work apart that you do in partial fulfillment of the requirements of a degree of some sort. Let's say of the BA. All right. This is the reason why on the front page of any research paper at the level of the BA, of the licence, you will have to read this, you know, project submitted in partial fulfillment of the requirements of the BA degree in English studies, for example. Okay, so ESP, when you call it ESP, it's very generic. Why? Because ESP can take different forms. An ESP can be, for example, the review of an article. A teacher can give you a couple of articles, one article, one book, or whatever, and he asks you or she asks you to reflect on it. Or it can be practical work, maybe a number of texts to translate if it's translation, or to collect data, you know, just collect data. establish patterns, don't do anything, just analyze, just collect data without even analyzing. That's a possibility, by the way, especially if the teacher realizes that there is a specific area of research where data is needed, okay? Data sets are needed. Data patterns are needed. So they will send you to work, to do some field work and to collect data. So what does this mean? Or sometimes the end of study project can be a report on an internship. You see, you go to another institution. Probably it depends on your area of specialization, but you go and you spend some time there, and later on you write a report that's also an ESP. In other words, ESP is a generic term. In it, you can include these types of reports, summarizing a book, an article, whatever. You see, just translating. All these are different forms of ESP. Now, when you talk about monograph, that's something different. But you can still use ESP instead. So what have we excluded now? We have excluded the word PFE, which is pure French. Monograph as a term consists of mono, it means one, and graph means something you write. Usually a monograph is written by one single individual. Okay? So, practically when you conduct a piece of research on a given topic and you produce a written document later on, that written document can safely be called a monograph. Okay? Fine. So, is there another term? So, memoir. Yeah, there is. Some people would call it a memoir. Again, we can still use them interchangeably without any problem whatsoever. Again, this is not as serious as exchanging it or making it interchangeable with PFE. Okay? So here, memoir implies some sort of subjectivity. Usually when you analyze feelings, you analyze something that touches feelings, emotions, whatever, moods, attitudes, that's more likely to be called a memoir than a monograph. Okay, so we have settled this, I guess, issue of terminology. Conclusion: never ever, unless you're talking to a friend at another department, as when you say in Arabic, so that he can understand you. Or you're talking to a professor who is outside of the English department, j'ai fini mon PFE, bon, but you can say that. You see, voilà. So you exclude PFE, and you have room for using the other terms interchangeably. Now, research, ladies and gentlemen, avoid this mistake this evening. Never ever say this research is about, because research is an uncountable noun. So it's not this research. Research is something that everyone does. You share this research with the world, with all the research of the world. That's research, scientific research. So we call it piece of research or simply this study, but never this research. And never pluralize it. Never say, for example, there are many researchers. Many researchers are researchers, yes, but researchees, no. Many pieces of research. Or you can call it previous research. Previous research. Here, research is still uncountable. All right, thank you. So we have talked about this issue of research and of terminology when we refer to what is commonly known as ESP. Okay, and now let's talk about maybe its structure. Of course, the structure of the ESP will depend, of course, on whether you are doing linguistics, literature, cultural studies, or you are involved in field work, as when you do sociolinguistics, for example, or applied linguistics, or second language acquisition, or whatever. So the structure of individual monographs / ESP research papers may differ in this respect. But despite the fact that they may differ, they have this common denominator. There is something that does not change. Let's start with the cover page, of course, at the level of the form. Cover page has to have this logo of your institution, and it has to have a clear title and your first name and family name. You know, please, your family name in English is just the first letter that is capitalized, not all of it. And for your supervisor, do not make this mistake, okay? Do not make this mistake of not giving a title to your supervisor. Of course, it will not add anything to him and it will not subtract anything from him or her, but this shows how careful you are in addressing people, and because this cover page is the thing that is the first thing that is reflected, first appears to the reader who may want to see what you have worked on. Remember that the ESP is also a key document that you submit at the master's level, because people who would like to look at your end of study project, they would like to look at your research paper, and there they can have an idea of who you are. You see, whether you are careful or you're not careful, whether you have done your work seriously, or whether you have just tried to produce something that looks like a project, but it's not actually one, and so on and so forth. Okay, so you have to be very careful, please. At this hour, we're talking about just the format, and we'll go to the core parts in a moment. So, the front page, very carefully, use the template that is generally used at your institution. You are more likely to have a ready-made template, and that's my strong advice. Never use a template of your own, okay? Use a template that is adopted by the department. Usually, every department has one, okay? So please try to do this. Then you probably need to have the first page where you talk, the first page that needs to show. So I don't have any copy here, but anyway, when you open the cover page, you have the first page. What should it have, this first page? It should be a page where you summarize the process, you summarize your study. Here I would like to stop because I am addressing this maybe lecture to S6 students who are in the process of conducting their ESPs. There is a difference between an abstract and a summary. I think we have to stop here and talk and maybe elaborate on this distinction. A summary is the summary of what you have produced, of what you have written. A summary is a summary of chapters. Like, for example, we say in chapter 1, we will review a review of the literature on this issue will be on issue X, for example, will be outlined along with, along with the discussion of the different theories, etc. And in chapter 2, methodology, the different, steps taken to collect data and analyze, etc. Anyway, you do it by chapters. This is the summary. In chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, this is the summary. And it should not be confused with abstract. Abstract is something different. So summary is for the thing. I'm looking just for a book here just to show you. But anyway, sorry. So if this is what you have produced, this is the book that you have produced. How well? A book, something like this. What is physically produced, this is the summary applies to this in chapter 1, in chapter 2, in chapter 3. But abstract, no. Abstract refers to the summary of the ideas that you have there, not the physical chapters, but the ideas. For example, in an abstract, you tell the reader your starting point, your objective. The main objective of this piece of research was to maybe explore teachers' attitudes towards the use of many languages in the classroom. For example, that's an objective. And then later on, maybe you can, because objectives, research questions, you can have both, maybe. But if you have a research question, you can use reported speech. Okay? So you can say that the study is an attempt to answer the question whether, and then you put, you write your sentence in the declarative form. And then you move on. Maybe in 2 or 3 sentences, you can write these objectives and maybe the justification why in one sentence Maybe because there is lack of research in Morocco. For example, if you're doing it in Morocco, you see, there is lack of research in this area. All right, good. Then what happens? What else? So you have talked about the what and the why, and then now, قدرتي ليها. It means that you're going to talk about the methodology of data collection. You will refer to the instruments that you have used. You will refer to the number of participants and maybe provide their background, but very briefly in 1-2 sentences. For example, a 25-item questionnaire was administered to 24 students belonging to maybe S1. See? Now you have one sentence where we have included instrumentation or the instrument as well as the sample. So that's a brief summary of the sample as well. Good. And then we move on to there is maybe, okay, one sentence again in which you talk about how you manage to analyze data. For example, you can say a two-step ANOVA, but I'm not talking to, sorry, this is directed to maybe S6 students. So maybe you can say the frequencies of responses were analyzed, you know, using percentages, let's say something like this. And then you move on to tell the reader what you have found out. The main finding or the main result, okay, there's a little difference between the two, but the main finding, okay, of this research is that, for example, teachers are in favor of using a monolingual approach to teaching. Point final, that's it. So if you group everything, you will have just one paragraph. And this is a clear message, not only to S6 students, but also to master students and to doctoral students. Sometimes students are too ambitious, or so ambitious that they want to produce more. They think that the more they write, the better they are viewed. No, that's not the case. Now, for an abstract which exceeds 1 page, chief doctor, c'est au niveau de doctor, au niveau du master as well. See, at the level of the master as well. For the monograph, you know, don't go beyond 1 paragraph. By the way, one of the conditions of an abstract is that it has to be 1 block. 1 paragraph that may be long, okay, but still 1 paragraph. We should not start a new line to give the impression that we are writing an introduction, for example. All in all, the first part, this first page needs to be called abstract, or is generally called abstract. And abstract is not a summary. A summary is something else. A summary is to be found at the end of your introduction, not on this first page called abstract. Abstract is what, why, how, and what did you find out? It means, what did you want to do in this research? How you did it? And did you find out what you were looking for? 3 الحوايج صافي. 3. That's all. I repeat. What? Objectives, research questions, hypotheses. A little while there, rationale, just do in 1 little sentence if you want. And then, how? Means how did you collect data? How did you analyze it? And then, did you find what you were looking for? C'est fini. صافي. Therefore, a short abstract is never a sign of weakness. It can be a sign of strength. Okay? Because in abstract, you have to be, you have to write in such a way as to tell the reader what the whole thing is about. Because, as you know, the assumption is that readers may not have enough time, may not have the nerve to go through everything that you have written. That's the thing. Okay? Nice. So we have this section called abstract, and then of course you have a section later on called dedication, and dedication is something Hanan is saying, I've decided to answer Hanan because I noticed that she's talking just about this very specifically, so we should keep the abstract to the end. Yes, Hanan. There are 2 things, two more things I want to tell you about the abstract. Let the abstract to be the last thing that you attend to. This means that you finish, you review literature, collecting your data, analyzing it, write conclusion, and come to the abstract. So this is the first thing, abstract at the end. The second thing is that the verbs or the main verbs of your abstract have to be conjugated in the simple past. You say this research, okay, the main objective of this piece of research was, not is. I used is before just to illustrate, but now no. So in terms of the form, the main verbs of the abstract have to be in the past. The main actions, for example, you say the main objective of the present piece of research was to test or to see, to explore the teacher's views on using one language in the classroom or many languages in the classroom, or the mother tongue or whatever. This is just an example. And then when you come to the point where you discuss where you mention, the research question, the study was based, not is based, was based. That's the abstract. And then you move to data collection. A questionnaire was used, not is used, was used. So it's done already. And when you come to summarize your findings, the main finding was, not is. Please jot this down for your abstract, okay? سيوسف درويش, please repeat the difference between what and what, my friend. ما عقلتش سيوسف, because يمكن peut-être maybe your message landed later here. I don't know, because I talked about the number of differences between ESP and monograph, and I talked about abstract and introduction, not abstract and summary, etc. So let me know, Yusuf, so that I can repeat. Okay, nice. So you have abstract, you have later on dedication. This is very personal. Dedicate this to your family, to the people, and it's usually short. And then to acknowledgments. Acknowledgments is a very good place where you show that you are polite and that you are not you're not someone who is selfish. Anyone who has helped you, you see, has to find his name there or her name. See, sometimes people help you, your classmates, mention them, especially the ones you feel close to you, with whom you have been discussing. You give a very good impression when you acknowledge people. By the way, there are people, in recruitment, for example, if you are recruited after, and you are asked, for your ESP, that can make a difference. When they see that you recognize the people who helped you, that you are not selfish. You see, because the research is never done on an individual basis. It's not a shame, it's not wrong, when you ask help from someone. But when someone lends a hand, this is an expression, to lend a hand means to help, you need to acknowledge, you need to have his name there as a way of saying thank you to him or to her. Okay, at the level of the form. Okay, and of course you have later on list of abbreviations. You may have a map depending on what you're working on, depending on what you're working on. List of tables, etc. But this is just called front matter. Okay, nice. Thank you, Hanan. Thank you. Okay, so then you move to the main chapter. The chapter, not the main, but the first, exhausting chapter, but it's not exhausting when you break down the tasks into manageable chunks. Then comes the review of the literature, and in the review of the literature, please pay attention to this, dear S6 students. Review of the literature. You see, it can come in 700 pages. It can come in 2,553 pages. I'm exaggerating, but I'm right. I have the right to exaggerate. Why? Because whatever topic there is, ladies and gentlemen, whatever topic there is, thousands, if not millions of studies and of texts, let's call them texts, have been written in relation to that topic, either touching on the topic or jumping headlong into the topic. You see, so what are you going to do here? Are you going to include all of these? No. You have to be selective. How can I be selective? I can be selective by going back to my objectives. objectives are very useful in this regard. So if you are starting, my dear friends, if you are starting work on your ESP, then the first worry should be your objectives, because objectives will lead you to formulate your hypotheses, and they will also constrain. You know what constrain means? They will limit you. They will say, well, no, don't go this way. They will reduce your search space so that they will direct you to just this, but not this, etc. I hope you understand me here. Okay? So there are certain variables, for example, that are not coherent with your objectives. Why are we going to read the literature and review it there? You understand? So we have to be very careful here. So review of the literature, if you don't constrain yourself, if you don't put limits on yourself, thanks to what? Thanks to, yeah, constraints, Muhsin, means limit. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Lend a hand means help. Thank you very much. That's true, Muhsin. Yes. Okay. So, review of literature, if it's unbridled, you know what a bridle is? Bridle is that little thing. How can I express myself? How can I explain bridle? Bridle in Arabic, it's something that we put in the mouth of a horse, and then when we, when we pull, the horse stops. It's lijam. Okay? So if it's unbridled, so the review of literature has to have some bridles. Where do you bring these bridles from? From your hypotheses, from your research questions, from your objectives. Hikmah fil objectives. You see? These are the bridles. Because without these, and I can tell you about the famous story that I have been narrating about a researcher who worked on l'enseignement de la mesure. L'enseignement de la mesure, c'est bhar. If you want a review of literature on l'enseignement de la mesure, I can give you 3,000 books. I promise. وقد بها. I can give you. You see, but you cannot review everything that has been, you see. So you need your objectives just to see which part, which way to go, and which. So I hope you understand me in this respect. Fine? Good. So the review of literature, as I said, needs to be limited somehow. Not anything you find with the keyword that relates to your topic will be included. You see, because if you do it this way, either you will not, your review and your title will not match, there will be incoherence, okay, or you will end up missing on very important points. Instead of addressing the real issues, you are addressing peripheral issues. You see, so be informed or be guided by your hypotheses, by your objectives, and therefore by your research questions. Now, let me talk a little bit more about the review of literature, because I see that so many students have issues when it comes to this very important chapter. First, what is the function and what is the role of the review of the literature? Why review? علاش studies فيهم review of literature? Answer. The review of literature paves the way, so to speak, to the unfamiliar reader in order to get familiar with the basic concept. For example, somebody who does not know about metrical phonology and would like to have a look at your work on metrical phonology, for example. So he or she should know what metrical phonology is. So you need to be pedagogical. Always in writing the review of literature, bear in mind that there is a reader who may not know what you know. So technical knowledge, of course, should be made easy. Okay? So, the review of literature is a place where the reader who is unfamiliar with your topic will get familiar and will read through the thesis very easily. Okay? Nice. هذه نقطة سجلوها. The other thing is that how do we write a review of literature? How? Is it by reading and changing the wording and writing? Partially, yes, partially. Okay? Bear in mind means understand that. Bear in mind that means understand that. Okay? Good. Nice. So when you write a review of literature, this consists in reading the relevant literature, هذا رقم واحد, and reproducing those ideas. That's number 2. But there is a very important number 3. Number 3 is you. What does it mean, number 3 is you? Number 3 means that you, as a reviewer of the literature, you should not be passive. You should not do that passively. What does it mean to do it passively? To do it passively means to read and to reproduce. That's all. That's passive. Where are you? Where are you there? Your presence in the review of the literature should be felt. I repeat. Your presence in the review of the literature should be felt by the reader. كيف should be felt by the reader? There is a difference between saying, let's say, Mr. X and Mr. Y, let's say, okay? Author X, author Y. Author X believes that using the mother tongue can have positive effects on students. Okay? Author Y says that it's only thanks to the use of one language in the classroom that students can evolve. Are these opposing views? Yes, they are. Now, as a reviewer of the literature, your job is not to say, Mr. X said this, Mr. Y said that. No. No, you have to sue. You know what to sue means? You know? You have to be there and to take ideas that, are maybe that express, ideas of some sort, from one author. And instead of saying just why Mr. X said this, now you have to provide the reason why. مثلا يعني ماشي نقول Mr. X counters this view and then I move on. No, I have to be there. Counter this view. What do you agree? Do you disagree? With whom do you side? It's very important. You add something from you, from your knowledge, from what you have read. And by the way, in reviewing X and Y, you may come to invoke something that has been said by author Y or XY by author Z. You see? So you can do all sorts of things. You can compare, you can contrast, you can agree, you can disagree. Okay? But your presence has to be there. The worst review of the literature is one where you have just people stacking ideas, you see, section after section after section, of course, and then leave. And you call it a review. That's not a review of literature. That's just a summary of maybe a few articles or a few studies. If there is one important point about the review of the literature, it's this. Okay? Good. Of course, there are other chapters. By the way, in the review of literature, sometimes you need to use quotes just to show that you have read. You can paraphrase ideas. If it's a study, you can, refer to, for example, the context of the study, how many subjects, how many participants took, how many individuals took part in the study, etc. It's the results of the study. It's not just saying that Mr. X said this and Mr. Y said that. No, you have to take a study and maybe try to unravel, its fabric so that it becomes, understood to people. Voilà, that's the thing. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm reading just occasionally. My eyes go to certain comments, and one of which is that we need to contextualize it. Very good, contextualize it, not leave it in thin air, in the air. Another says you need to probably be the judge there, be the mediator. So your personality has to be there as a researcher. You have to do it the active way. And by the way, it's not easy. It's not easy. قريت أنا article عندي فكرة وفلان قال هكذا. أشنو بان لي أنا؟ دونك داكشي اللي بان لي انا هو اللي غادي نكتب بلغه عاديه جدا سليمه من الاخطاء بيان سور، ولكن ماشي شكسبيريان انجلش. لا I think that I believe that no problem. Bien sûr, je parle مع I talk to undergrad students, S6 students, but this can have probably a little more sophisticated notch at the level of the master and also at the level of the doctorate. All right, nice. I don't know how, so I need to probably stop here to read the comments. I will try to address them very quickly. I don't know where I can start. I have enough comments in here. There is a wealth of comments. So teacher English, thank you. أنا قريت هاد الكومنتير، قريت هادو كاملين. Alors أسي عدنان، yes. نبدأ بسي يوسف، نتمنى ما نسيتش شي واحد. Yes, okay. سي يوسف دريوش says, in review of the literature, can we combine raised issue and previous studies? Of course. This is very important because that's exactly what should be done. You refer to previous studies, you summarize them, you compare, contrast, etc. But you should not forget bringing the reader to your own interest, to your own research question. For example, you can say, this is exactly what the present study is trying to, this is exactly the research question the present study is trying to answer. Or the present study invokes or attempts to answer the same question, which is, and then you can just to remind the reader of this idea of reminding the reader of your either of your hypotheses or your objective or your research question is of paramount importance to the coherence of your work. Just stuck in studies like that, producing a chapter, the chapter if you take the chapter, nothing will happen. As my supervisor, Laith Grobikhir, used to tell me, if you have a thesis and you remove a chapter and nothing happens, nothing is affected there, it means that the chapter is zero. Do you understand? So the chapter has to be in coherence with the next chapter and with the previous chapter. How can we achieve this? It's exactly by this. By reminding the reader, by introducing your own position there, you see, and by referring to what you will do next. Of course, in the next chapter, we will review, we will expose the methodology, etc. Now, there are different ways of doing it, but make sure that a review of the literature does not consist in reading and reproducing what you have read. هذه ما كايناش. Okay. Thank you, Si Driush. Hamza, such a great pleasure. Thank you, Si Hamza. Thank you very much. So much love from, thank you very much. Thank you, my friends. Look, I think I read was Darwish Hamza. Okay, I think I have read these. Si Mustafa, how can اختار ننسى شي واحد؟ إلا نسيت شي واحد راه ماشي بالعاني ها. Muhammad Lamin, your initiative. Thank you very much. I read this. Abdullah, so please can you share anything you see helpful to teach English? I saw this. Ahlan Wisal. How are you? Wisal is a doctoral student who shows interest in these topics. Okay. It's difficult to follow here. My God. I don't know how to do this. I'm sorry. How can a BA student, Si Mustafa says, choose a good research topic? What are your recommendations for a student doing this? Very good. For his first literature review, I think, Si Mustafa, for the literature review, we have talked about that. Usually, at the level of the BA, it's the teacher that helps the student, maybe the supervisor helps or suggests topics. Although actually, if you have enough time, I'm really against the idea of having the supervisor impose. It's not imposing, but I think that supervisors at this level understand that it's the first experience for students, and this sort of scaffolding, I think it's advantages. I think there is an advantage here. بالحق, master, doctorate, it should come from you, اسمح لي. You see, so we can understand this because teachers, as I said, they are doing a great job, by the way. ESP, supervisors at the level of the BA. It's a very difficult job because the student comes to you with no prior knowledge whatsoever about what ESP writing is. So you are there, you take him or her by hand, and then you show to him or to her, the basic steps, and you even help them by suggesting a topic. This is I think this is good in this regard. It's like scaffolding activity. Simaki Amiri, my dear colleague, thank you very much, Simaki. Barakallahu feek, thank you. Look at what he's writing. Simaki, my dear colleague, thank you so much. Okay, Mohsin. ESP demonstrates. Oh my God. Well, never mind. I will just. So, Si Mohammed Babawi says, teacher, I'm happy to be there. My question is about how to improve my writing. I'm a student A6, but look at this. Si Mohammed, first, I would like to congratulate you on being very courageous. It takes a lot of courage to write what you have written. You see, it takes a lot of courage. So, and I'm sure you are someone who will end up being an outstanding writer. Okay? Si Mohammed Babawi, I think you sent me a message before about this. Would you kindly, if you are listening to me now, would you kindly send me just a little reminder in the inbox of this page, Your Academic Companion, so I can see what I can do when it comes to some of the techniques, some of the tips for improving, okay, your written language, which is a very legitimate question, of course. Thank you very much. All right. Okay. Rashid, thank you so much. Si Rashid Bendrao, Si Muhsin, where shall I send it to you? You have WhatsApp, please. No, send it to me. Just to your academic companion, this Facebook page, please. Si Mohammed, what is the subject area you see that needs to be investigated nowadays? I am fed up with those students' so-called projects related to the impact of AI, the impact of technology, etc. Well, there are a number of recommendations, of course. Well, I will not talk about cultural studies. I cannot encroach upon the territory of my colleagues because simply they are specialists and I'm not a specialist, so I cannot talk about things I'm not knowledgeable about, or at least knowledgeable enough about. من تكلم في غير فنه أتى بالعجب. Okay, so I leave it, in literature as well. So, but in linguistics, there are a number of issues, of course. In theoretical linguistics, you can investigate a phonological, morphological, syntactic, pragmatic, semantic issue in Moroccan Arabic or in Amazigh. You take just one area and you will find a lot of areas that are unexplored. So it's a good idea to take them up and see how you can manage to come up with certain conclusions in this regard. In the field of language education, language teaching, there is, of course, I agree with you, Si Mohammed, there is a lot more to 21st century education than merely ICT and AI, of course, which are also relevant topics, of course, which are very good topics, if they are done, of course, the correct way. Research on motivation is I think it's a very timely issue because the rationale is that nowadays more and more students seem to lose motivation. We have high rates of absenteeism at the university, and we have students who don't really care about the knowledge that they had. There are students who care more. Not all of them, of course. I'm not generalizing. But there are students who say, diploma. You see. So I think this can be analyzed by investigating, motivation and the different factors, that can thwart students' motivation or that can boost, students' motivation to invest, to show engagement in their studies. And this is a good idea. Of course, there are others. Of course, now multilingual education and the medium of instruction is at the center of interest of a number of researchers. There is an area in linguistics referred to as translingualism. I think this is Translanguaging pedagogy. This is really a good thing, but not from the perspective of are you in favor? The teachers say yes, the students say no. No, there are more informative maybe areas and or themes within this that can inform language teaching, language pedagogy, curriculum development, and so on and so forth. Thank you. سيبوكني فيه. Okay. سيبوكني فيه. I think I read this. باوي. مكي العامري. مستر مكي. هاد الشيء كيرجع. Sorry. شتي. Wait a minute. have سي طارق مقتبة. أهلا وسهلا. دكتور طارق. قالك سي طارق. ياك. Thank you, سي طارق, for joining us. Thank you. Tariq produced a very outstanding thesis, and I happen to be a jury member at Sidi Mohammed bin Abdullah University, Fes Darmarez. Okay, he is about to be a professor. I wish you all the best, Si Tariq, and all the best to the other friends who deserve, inshallah, and people, لكل مجتهد نصيب, right? Okay, nice. So Mahdi bin Nis says, today I was revising my research content. I was wondering how I should address several pieces of research in one term. I searched and found out that's uncountable. Researches, no, you cannot use researches. Okay, because research is an abstract noun, and a piece of research, it's like advice. Advice cannot be pluralized, so it's a piece of advice. I think it's better than advice. No, not I think, it's the fact. So use a piece of research or just a study, or there are other terms perhaps. Okay, so I'm sorry, my friends, I'm a bit lost. What's the difference between a research proposal and an outline? That's good. Hanan, اسمحوا لي, I may have missed some, I'm afraid. اسمحوا لي إلا نسيت شي واحد عافاكم. I did not do it on purpose, and you know me. Okay, so please paste again your request or your comment, and then we will see. I will see how to respond. I have Ali Wakil, for example, says, I see that many people write their last name in uppercase to differentiate. لا 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 لا, that's a mistake, my friend. هذا الخطأ شائع. ويقال أن رب خطأ شائع خير من صواب مهجور. ولكن أخويا اسمح لي. No. Ohoy. You see, the family name in English is written unless, شوف, إذا كنت تعمر شي فيزا ولا شي فورمولير كيقول لك كتب لي كل شيء on capital, I'm not talking about this. بالحق, you write, for example, let's say علي وكيل, نكتب لك علي A capital, L small, I small, ça c'est الطريقة الفرنسية. وكيل كنكتبها كاملة in capital. هذا خطأ فادح. You see, شوف كيما كتبتي علي وكيل هنا في فيسبوك, هو علي وكيل بلك الطريقة هذه الطريقة الصحيحة. But capitalizing the family name, no. اللهم إلا كان كل شيء capitalized, I'm not talking about this. You see, كتجي مفضوحة هذيك en anglais. كتكتب السمية your personal name, محل نور الدين كيكتبها capital N, le reste كل شيء minuscule. كتجي الأمروس كتكتب capital, ناطحة السحاب. No. You see, that's the French way. The English way, it's exactly what you have written there. All right. Natalie says we provide summary and findings in the abstract. That's absolutely right, Natalie. Thank you. You have a flag there, Natalie, showing that you are a top fan, right? Thank you. I'm proud of you. Thank you. سي مصطفى, عندك شي فلاج تما ولا ما عندكش? Do you have a flag there? Okay. Muhsin, Natalie. Hanan also has a flag. Okay. اسمحوا لي راه تخربقت هنايا. What's the difference? Okay. My God. Okay. عندنا after علي عندنا فدوى بوشولتي. I hope you're doing well, Fidwa. Thank you for joining us. If there is any question about your ESP, Fidwa, please just write so that I can react. I know grosso modo what you are working on, and I know you are in good hands because your supervisor is a good person, someone I know very well. All right, so good luck to you, Fidwa, and good luck everyone here. Hanan says, what's the difference between a research proposal and an outline? Okay, yeah. Shofi, outline, Hanan, an outline is just it's just saying chapter 1, section 1. So chapter 1, this, for example, you give it a title. Section 1, title. This is the outline. It's like a table of contents. The one outline. A research proposal, no. Research proposal is it's a document of a few pages, maybe 4, 5, 6 pages, in which you tell the professor, in your case, since you are at S6, you can tell your professor what you intend to do in your project, in your ESP. You write the title, the proposed title, your objectives, how you intend to collect data, how you intend to analyze it. صافي. Bien sûr, un peu de review of the literature in a very, short way, in a very condensed way, in a very terse way, so that you can, the teacher can have a global idea about whether it's feasible or not feasible, about whether it's doable or not doable. So this is the main function of the proposal. And by the way, you can do this later on when you are at the doctoral level or master's level. You see, outline, no. Outline is just chapter 1, section 2. You give titles. That's the outline. Okay? Hana, thank you. Ali, I'm afraid I'm repeating. I'm not organized. Or the comments are not organized. They change. I don't know why. And Ali, Natalie, we provide summary findings at the abstract. That's absolutely right. Wisal is probably tagging her friends. Thank you, Wisal. So we should keep the abstract at the, yes, صحيح. Keep the abstract at the end. We also talked about research implications in the abstract. Yeah, but just a little reference to them, but it's not part and parcel, or at least it's not as essential as our other components. But it's true. If there is a, you can say, well, these findings have a number of pedagogical implications. صافي, مثلا, okay? But we do not dwell on them. See, Mustafa. Thank you for pointing this out. But maybe at the level of S6, they can do without. No, I don't think it's a big problem in that. But for a doctor, you are right. See, Murshid. Thank you very much. Okay. How to write an effective hypothesis. If the normality of the data is not met, does this entail that the study may not be La, Natalie, no, not at all. La. If the normality is not met, it means one thing. It means that you wait, if you run normality measures and you find out that normality is not met, and you report that in your thesis, in your methodology, one conclusion. Safi. You are an outstanding researcher and you have a lot of courage. Safi. Switching or going non-parametric does not by any means, okay, take from the good quality of your work. Right, Natalie? No problem with that. Can you please repeat differences between what and what, my friend? So she's saying يمكن كيقول لي differences. We should comment on them. يلا سيدي هاد لي كومنتير يا لطيف. I think I can use this. I have a pen there, a phone pen. This one, I think it's going to work. بلاتي نشوف. والله لا. It's going to work. Yusuf, we should comment on them. On what? I'm sorry, my friends. Well, let me... Natalie says, what if we use hypothesis, a hypothesis that is used only in the limitation? Do we need to mention what is included in the review of literature? Kifash? Sorry, Natalie, because I think I'm missing some part of this. What if we use hypothesis that is used only in the limitation? What do you mean hypothesis in the limitation? Do we need to mention what is included in the review of literature? You mean you are using a hypothesis that is inferred from a previous study, probably from the limitations of the previous study, you infer a hypothesis there. Do you need to mention what is included in the review of literature? Of that study? Not necessarily. You may, if they address the same issue, you may include that, but you are not forced. But when you take from the limitations of someone, you have to mention him or her, you may have to mention the study there. Natalie, okay? Let's see Ashraf. We have Ashraf here. Sharaftina Ashraf. Mr. Ashraf, our brilliant doctoral student. Please, can you keep a recorded? Yeah, I keep everything unless Facebook deletes it. I think there is a policy. I really don't know. Selma Gurma, could you please... Thank you, Ashraf, for joining. Thank you. Selma Gurma, could you please explain to us, please, the qualitative and quantitative method? Yes. Selma, in research, when you do research, when you conduct research, you can either adopt a quantitative approach or a qualitative approach. The difference is that you have quantitative. In quantitative, you have quantity. Quantity means numbers, because when I say the quantity of something, I have to use numbers. 2 kilos or 300 if it's countable, you see? So quantitative methods or the quantitative approach is a research or a piece of research using a qualitative approach is a piece of research that bases or that relies or that draws conclusions based on numbers, like percentages, for example, like comparing scores, like, anyway, you need those numbers. Your conclusions are based on numbers, on statistics. Remember this, please. Quantitative, you have quantity, therefore you have numbers, okay? Qualitative research is different, because qualitative research is a piece of research. In qualitative research, what you do is draw conclusions not based on numbers. Numbers are out. You don't use statistics, you don't use anything, you use just words. You analyze data in the form of language, for example, or the form of analyzing behavior, but you analyze in terms of language. You don't analyze based on the statistics. I think this is a very simplified way of explaining the difference between quantitative and qualitative research. Natalie, we identify gaps. That's true. We identify gaps, and sometimes gaps are a good starting point. Gaps, in other pieces of research are a good starting point for your own research. Yusuf Darwish, we should comment on them. That's true. Yeah, sure. Them referring to previous studies, of course. Qualitative, Salma, I answered this question. You need to put yourself in your review of literature. I think I addressed this. Mr. Muhammad as well. Maryam Persephone. What a name. How can we avoid writing the review in a descriptive style and instead write a more critical manner? This is exactly what I have talked about. I think it's good that you called it a critical. Critical means not passive way. Critical means you be there. You show your identity there. compare, contrast, link that, make connections, okay? Say that this is, you see, not practical. بالحق ما تقول حتى ما practical. Say, for example, that this may not apply to the Moroccan context if you conduct research in Morocco, for example. Say that this goes against the overwhelming majority of blah, 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 of researchers before. Say that the idea, the relation between X and Y is dubious. I mean, it's hard to believe or does not stand to reason. That's how you can be critical. Of course, there are ways you can provide your own argument by saying because. Mustafa says authorial voice in writing, that is needed, of course. That's absolutely right. Selma says you could. Thank you, Si Mustafa. Si Mustafa, you have a hand there, but you don't have a flag, Mr. Mustafa. How come? Okay. Selma Gurma, could you please explain to us the qualitative, quantitative? We did it. كنرجع واقيلا هاد لي كومونتير كيرجعوا. وكاين في I think Mustafa, yeah, Selma, explain to us. Yeah, I think Selma has repeated this comment, which is nice. I told you that we sometimes it's good to repeat. أنا غادي نمشي هنايا. سي كريم بولعين, when can we use or not use the subject pronoun I, we in our research? I don't think that's yeah, some people will dwell on this specific issue by saying that you are subjective and you should not. But whether we like it or not, we are. When I say I collected data, فين هي subjectivity هنايا? You see, subjectivity would be when you say I am the best on earth, or my research, is better than Hnawi. But, judging the student just on the mere use of I and making a mountain out of a mole like that, I don't think it's the way to go. However, for students, overuse of I may not be favored because that's, in a piece of research, it's better to use, I say better, ما كنهضرش على الصحيحة من الخطأ لأن حتى I صحيحة. You see? Some professors might say no. And they have their own, I'm not categorical, but that's my proper perspective. If I see I in a piece of work, it's not a serious problem. Not really serious problem. Because subjectivity ما يبقاش في I. Subjectivity في I. Subjectivity in the way you collect data, in the way you see, the way you sample, in the way to make it a subjectivity. You see? But stylistically, you can choose, of course, if you want to make it more formal, you may choose to passivize, you may choose to refer to this piece of research instead of saying I did. This piece of research uses, for example, or adopts a qualitative data analysis. Either throw the responsibility on this piece of work or passivize. A number of students were asked to take part in the thesis and they blah, blah, blah. You see? Okay. When it is overused, fine, but I cannot judge a person just on one use of I, especially if the other things are fine. Okay? Good, Mr. Karim, thank you. Anas Med says, Anas Med has a flag. Does it mean that you are a top fan? Thank you very much, by the way. It shows that having a flag means that you are a regular, member or an active member on this page. Thank you. So, greetings, Professor. Thank you very much for the effort. My question is as follows. A very beautiful way of expressing it is as follows. Thank you. Right. In case a term needs to be operationalized, where should the operationalization definition? Thank you. This is really, really nice. نحط هاد القهوة and then I answer. بلاتي نديفلوبي هادشي نديفلوبي c'est-à-dire see more نكليكي على see more. Voilà. So where should the operationalized definition appear in the research paper? Would you provide an example? Thank you. Okay. Nice. First, let's talk about this idea of operationalization. Sometimes there are terms that have a number of meanings. Okay? And because they have a number of meanings, if we do not define what meaning we are adopting in the thesis, we run the risk of being misunderstood. And here we have probably a problem of, we run the risk of having a validity issue or a validity problem. You see? So here we have to be careful. So one way so the process of delimiting, okay, the term and of mentioning or making clear the aspects of the term or the concept we will be analyzing, and probably also the aspects we will not be analyzing, because different authors need, or not need, but different authors generally investigate different aspects of a concept. Donc, هنا operationalization is necessary. شنو هي operationalization? It's to say what the term means in your thesis. So the term, the concept, for example, motivation, henceforth means blah, 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 blah. You know, you adopt a definition. It's also called an operational definition. How can you show that? My advice, so if you were a supervisee, I would suggest the following. I would suggest that you reserve a space in your introduction where you have a section entitled, definition of key terms. You see? Or operationalization of concepts, of basic concepts, for example. I think showing this at the level, or you can do that in prose form, like when you write an introduction, without sections, you can write it in prose. In prose means in the form of a paragraph, etc. You can elaborate on that. But the best way, the best place to show, to operationalize your terms is the introduction, of course. Why? Because the reader will be equipped and will bear in mind that definition of yours, and that will be the angle of vision or the lenses with which he looks at the rest of your work. Thank you. Yasin Bulmam, thank you very much, Yasin. Barakallahu fik. Okay. Allah Sidi. Oh la la, I'm sorry. I think I read that. Let's see Montasir. We have a very famous person here. As you can see, we have professors, we have doctoral students. We have Simon Tasir here, Montasir Hamala, who is also a professor, a successful one, at a higher education institution in Rabat, Mohammed V University, of course, and he has the double, gift of being a very good professor, specialized in cultural studies, of course, more specifically musicology, and he is a musician, a very famous musician who appears, with very, 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 very famous, artists. In every time, there is a concert, I just make an attempt to locate him on TV, and I find him. I think he's more into piano. I guess he uses this musical instrument. He masters it. So thank you, Simon Tasir, for joining us and for being a member of this channel. Barakallahu fiqh. As you can see, we have Mr. Montasir. We have doctoral students here. We have professors, and we have students who want to learn. I think this is a good idea, to be in one platform like this, to exchange ideas, to help each other maybe improve, and this is a good idea. So thank you, Mr. Montasir, for joining us. So let me read your comment now. Bringing the voice of the researcher to the critical evaluation of the work review studied. Yes, that's true. So I think you are saying it in a different way. Thank you. Barakallahu fiqh, Mr. Montasir. Thank you. Mr. Mustafa Murjid says, don't forget to use the abbreviation Prof. Yes. It's another common mistake where PR, je ne sais pas pourquoi, mais الناس كتستعمل PR هكا. مهم. Sometimes it appears also in documents that are supposedly official documents. PR comme ça, alors que le message est en anglais. So why PR is a prof? PR is a mistake. Nobody will say, well, there are people who... No. In English, no. Okay? Nice. Thank you, Si Mustafa, for this good reminder. Thank you very much. Selma says something here. Anas, yes, okay. Selma says quality. Yeah, you have typed again this. Selma, could you please explain the quality? Oh yeah, Selma, I keep repeating this, but it's good because I asked her, to do this. Wa alaikum salam, Mr. Muhammad Qarudi. Thank you very much. See Muhammad al-Zarq. Wait a minute, we have Muhammad here. Mr. Zarq says, how can the examination of variance in teacher score or teach, because this is hidden by and I can hear scoring of writing anyway, the tasks, paragraph, essay from high-tech exam in relation to experience and gender approaches. Wait, I have to develop this, see more. Wait a minute. So let me read this at ease. So how can the examination of variance in teaching scoring of writing tasks, okay, in relation to experience, gender? You mean you're talking about the appropriate statistical measure. So what do you have here? There is in teaching scoring, the scoring of writing tasks, paragraph, essay from high stake exam, standardized, okay, in relation to experience and gender. So you have a number of the dependent variable here is teaching the scoring of writing tasks. Okay, I don't know whether you're addressing teacher education or anyway, that's your dependent, the DV, the dependent variable is scoring writing tasks, scoring writing tasks. You have example here, so regardless of what the example is, so teaching scoring writing tasks in relation to experience and gender be approach. Okay, now you will deal with these maybe separately. That's one way, one nice way and easy way of doing it. Point one, teaching experience versus scoring, method. So if teaching experience is a continuous variable, means teaching experience in terms of years, then you have a continuous independent variable. Scoring the tasks, I don't know how you will measure it. Scoring means categorical, either this way, or this way. For example, holistic or discrete point. So here you have a continuous variable, which is the dependent variable, and then you have so the independent variable. You have the scoring variable, which is a I don't know. I suspect that this is a nominal scale. I don't know, but you have to tell me, please. Because if both of them are continuous variables, then a correlational design will be a good idea. Otherwise, you go non-parametric because you have a categorical, dependent variable. Now, for gender, if it's because gender is by definition a nominal scale variable, that is to say it's categorical, and the writing tasks, they are likely to be categorical. I don't know. If it turns out that both of them are categorical, then you can use chi-square or you can use what do we call that? What's that? I forgot. But anyway, chi-square or cross tabulations, they can help in this regard. But you really need to tell me whether you have what nature, how you scored the data, or how do you intend to score the data that will make the picture more lurid. Okay, nice. So Muhsi, I go back again. Scoring. Many special thanks. Okay, so Omar, special thanks. Thank you very much. See Omar. Muhsin, I think you have Muhsin, yes, Muhsin Mamouni. The way you write your name is French. ثانك يو محسن. محسن اللي عجبني في محسن هو بغى يتعلم مسكين، ديما كيسول يسمع غير كلمه يقول لك وات داز ات مين، ذيس از نايس. دونك محسن غير لو ام ديال ماموني هو اللي خصو يكون كابيتال، ا ام او يو ان اي خصو يكون مينيسكول، خصوصا وانك كتبتي محسن بالطريقه العاديه. اما الا كنتي كتعمر شي ورقه وقال لك كتب كلشي كابيتال، كلشي كابيتال حنا ما عندنا ما نقولوا، الا كان كلشي كابيتال راه كلشي كابيتال. ولكن بالحق in regular writing مثلا في لا تيز ديالك ولا في البحث ديالك كتكتب وبغيتي تكتب لو نون دو فامي وتكتب هذا، نو هاد الطريقه لا. فوالا دونك لو ام بوحدو. فوالا ثانك يو ناتالي. يا كيلكان هنايا اللي اوكي زكريا HN, hello dear professor, I don't see those comments you are reading, professor. Is it because I joined? Lala, I think there is a way you can see that. There is something you can tap on your mobile, I guess. It so happens, you know, to me as well when I watch a live and I want to see comments. But I think there is something that you need to check. We am Aitalla, thank you. هادو شفناهم الإخوان هنايا. Zakaria, I don't see the comments. Omar, thank you, Si Omar. Barakallahu fik, Si Ashraf. What is the ideal number of participants for interviews and questionnaires at the BA, at the PhD levels? Thank you, Si Ashraf. Now, for Hana, the famous answer is it all depends. But let me, as ChatGPT would say, here is a breakdown of the problem. Okay. I would recommend for the BA students or for BA students, Anna, I am against forcing the BA student to include a lot of participants. La, because this is the beginning of, for the student, this is the first step into research. So our job needs to be to make him or her go through the process, regardless of whether he aims at, at a small number or at a high number. You see, so for interviews at whichever level, see Ashraf, you might think, an interview is characterized by being by an in-depth analysis, and therefore it does not bring much. It's not a good idea to include many people there in the interview. 3, 4, sometimes just one. You see, people can't understand this. علاش ما نديرش انا interview مع one? Because it's qualitative, you see. So you 1, 2, 3 gap, maximum 5 if you want other person. If you have variables, like gender, you need to. مثلا, if you want to see the males and the female, if you have other variables, you might want to, maybe, let me say this, as many as there are variables you want to control. Point final. See, but an interview should not include a higher number, okay, than this. Now, for the qualitative, like questionnaires is another story, you see. For master, for doctorate, again, it depends on whether you have an experimental design or just an exploratory. But generally, when you have, you can go up to 100 onwards, okay. But if you are going to, to have, if you have frequencies and descriptive statistics, then a high number is highly desirable. For some inferential statistical tests, you may go lower than 100 without any problem. Okay, so it should not be too small, but it should be small enough to be manageable. After all, inferential statistics is one way, provided that the sampling is done the correct way, of course. And so inferential statistics, is the goal. And if you have enough data, you can infer the characteristics of the population just based on the characteristics of the sample. So there is no exact number, I'm afraid, say Ashraf, because that will depend on a number of factors, including whether you are using inferential or descriptive statistics, but also depending on whether your design is exploratory or just descriptive or experimental or quasi-experimental. All right. Thank you. Si Mohsin says, thank you, Si Ashraf, for this very relevant and we can come back to discussions of like these. Maybe later teach us how to write our names in French and English, please. Okay, c'est Mohsin. In French, it's the way you wrote it before. Mamoni كلشي capital. محسن كيبقى هكاك. Ça c'est le français, ça French. English now. English كيما كتبتي سميتك في الفيسبوك دابا راه هي هذيك الصحيحة، الطريقة الصحيحة في الإنجليزية. فوالا هذا هو الجواب. واش هذا الشيء صالح لواحد مبتدئ في تعلم الإنجليزية؟ سي محمد ممكن نعاونوك إلا كنتي مبتدئ في اللغة الإنجليزية، مرحبا. عندنا الإخوان هنايا اللي يقدروا يساعدوك وما يعني في المجال فوقاش ما جا شي واحد كيساعدوه كيجاوبوه بغيتي نصائح بغيتي مرحبا بك توتي فاصون مرحبا بك. حنا كنعاونوا الناس اللي مبتدئين، الناس اللي اوكي كلشي هذا ما استطعنا الى ذلك سبيلا. طبعا شكرا سي محمد، بارك الله فيك. alors اوكي أشرف. Okay, I think voilà la preuve c'est que c'est Ashraf هو كيجاوب على سي ماموني. Thank you very much Ashraf, thank you, really nice. سي عبد السلام says could you please, hello professor, hello سي عبد السلام, could you please shed some light on the resources I can use concerning academic research? I need to refresh my knowledge and thank you in advance. سي عبد السلام أطالب if you would like me to provide you with a couple of references, please send me a private message to this page. Inshallah. What is the format of a lit review in an essay or article? Nice. Is an essay or شوف سي عمر is asking a good question. سي عمر قول حيان review of literature أحسن طريقة. It's very easy, but thank you. You're saying that in a nice way. You have a plan first. You need to have an outline of your review. ماشي غير كنجيو كنكتبوا، لا كنجلسوا دابور نقولوا هل issues اللي غنهضروا عليهم وربما نوريهم حتى لي بروف ديالنا باش كومسا نكونوا على بينه بلي هادشي اللي عندنا. دونك شاك سيكسيون الى عندها سب سيكشنز، شاك سب سيكشن هي لا سيكسيون اللي داخله اون اوت سيكسيون تتخذ شكل ايساي، على شكل ايساي فيه الانترودكشن، فيه البودي، فيه الكونكلوجن. عرفتي الا درتوها بالطريقه you will come up with a very good review of literature. Voilà, do it like this. Every section or subsection has to take this form. Voilà, it will be reader friendly, it will be nice, it will be people will look at it as a very good way of writing your review. أهلا عزيزة، ما مشتي. How are you? Okay, Aziza was a former student and now she is a very successful high school teacher. She is pursuing her studies as well. I have a question. In the review of literature, is it necessary to mention the gap in the previous or should be done by in the introduction? Ashraf replying to Muhsin. Okay, I thought you were replying to Aziza. Anyway, the gap, لا شوف, the gap, the research gap is usually mentioned at the level of the introduction, a little before you talk about your objectives. You see, talk about what previous research is lacking. They did this, but they did not do this. So where do you bring gaps from? It's from the last part of the previous research that you consult, especially in the section referred to as limitations and suggestions for future research. So the best place is the introduction, Aziza. Thank you. Okay, Siatslam, get some light on the resources. Yeah, I have answered you. Okay. Muhsin, I think. Yeah, this is good. Thank you, Ashraf. Ashraf is doing a great job. Very kind person, this Ashraf. Just like Muhsin, just like Natalie, just like other friends, Mohammed Bouknifi and Si Mustafa Morshid, our great friend, of course. You see, that's really nice. Thank you very much. Okay, Si Hassan, professor, how many pages enough to be in ESP? شوف انا بالنسبه ليا في الاي اس بي الواحد ما يكثرش لي باج، ما بقاتش في شحال من باج كتبتي but it should be reasonable enough. I don't know. There are students who work on their project for a whole year. There are students who work on a project for one semester. Okay, so page count may not matter. بالحق, every single section has, or chapter, needs to have a reasonable number of pages. شوف 30 40 بارفوا أقل 20 بارفوا 20 في الاي اس بي ممكن. It all depends. But check with your professor please. شتي هاد النوع ديال سميتو هاد السؤال بخصوص number of pages. إلا كتبتي مثلا لا تنسى شي واحد كتب في لا فونولوجي في هذا ولا في شي حاجه اللي هي تري تكنيك, راه he will be saying a lot in just one single page. فهمتي, ça dépend على التوبيك ديالك, ça dépend على supervisor ديالك. you check with him. But if you want my perspective, في الاي اس بي ديال اي 6 الواحد ما يكتبش بزاف, حيت اللي كيهم هو دوز من داك البروسيسوس, دوز من داك المراحل ديال البحث العلمي, وتحس براسك كتبتي شي حاجه سميتها البحث وكتب فيها سميتك وبقى عندك. فوالا انا اللهم تكتب 20 30 25 صفحه في البحث كامل, ويكون هادشي ديالك, ولا تمشي دير طرق اخرى باش اوغمونتي غير باش تسمى درتي لي باج بزاف. لا, الكونتوني خصو يكون جوستيفيي. اوكي فوالا, يعني داك لو بروجي اللي غديرو انت في 25 باج 30 باج, غادي يجي شي واحد ياخذ لو ميم بروجي في الدكتوراه, راه خصو يخرج منه 300 صفحه ولا 400 صفحه. يسي دونك سي الاستيك. دابا كل حاجه سميتو كل نيفو مثلا وهذا. فوالا ما كاينش شي هذا محدد, اللهم الا كان في الديبارتمون, حيت كاين بعض الديبارتمون اللي عندهم هذاك لو نومبر, عندهم داك سميتو النظره ديالهم خص يكون في حدود هذا النومبر ديال لي باج ولا شي. Voilà, donc please check with your supervisor for further information in this regard, Mr. Hassan. Okay. Si Hamid Rifi. I don't know if you are Hamid, my classmate, or another Hamid. Let me know if you are Hamid Zouzayu from Zayu. Let me know. Thank you, Mr. Hamid. Hanan says, how can I write an effective hypothesis I have from... never mind. The hypothesis, شوف, the hypothesis واش عندك qualitative or quantitative approach. If it's qualitative, then the hypothesis comes maybe in the form of a paragraph, and it may come at the end of your research. In qualitative research, that's possible. Sorry, qualitative research. بالحق, in quantitative research, the hypothesis needs to be... The hypothesis needs to be a declarative sentence, for example. For instance, it should not be a question. Declarative, or maybe also negative sentence, but it should not be a question, and it should be one sentence, direct sentence that looks like a guess. It's like saying, I guess that, blah, blah, blah. But you don't say, I guess that. You say directly. For example, males will outperform, or let me simplify it, males will have a higher score, you know, on a writing task than males. هذه hypothesis. Study hours, the amount of time students spend preparing for the exam, is related or correlates or has a relation or whatever with their success or their scores. هادو هما les hypothèses. Ce sont des phrases soit négatives, par exemple, gender will not have an impact on the score or writing scores, for example. That's a possible hypothesis. Donc, شنو هي l'hypothèse? L'hypothèse هو based on what I have read, based on what I have thought up, because anyway there needs to be thinking, based on my discussion with my classmates, with my supervisor, with other people, based on my conviction, based also on the previous literature, I can come up with a hypothesis saying that this will blah blah blah. It's like guessing, بحال كتقمري على واش هكا ولا هكا. What will decide whether it's this or that? It's your data when you analyze it. هذه هي الhypothesis. Okay? Thank you. Let's call it a session. Yes, Mohsin, let's call it a session. That's exactly what I was about to say, given that I'm a bit tired. Yes, thank you. All right. Hamid Rifi, أخي تقول لي هكا واسيخ ماشي ما وجهش. Are you the Hamid that was my classmate? واش اش كي يغريني غاسي حامد شي شاسك زيو. I don't know. Let me know please. سي يوسف أهلا وسهلا سي يوسف. Thank you very much. Yeah, the storm has abated. It has died down, but I think it has rejuvenated and it has receded. So maybe I need another video for these terms. All right, thank you. أهلا سي حميد ولد عمي، لاباس عليك؟ مليح شوية؟ عافاك ومغاط وسيداني تينيث. عافاك يا سي حميد، شكرا. He's my cousin, سي حميد. سي لو كوزان. Okay, thank you سي حميد, thank you. Hanan Mrit, how can we write an effective hypothesis? I think I have answered you. Hassan, I think I answered you. Can you write an effective? I think I answered you. So what do we have here? Yusuf, I think I answered you. The storm has abated. That's true. Yes, okay. All right. Hello, Professor Ramadan Mubarak. Thank you, Si Abdel Amin. Thank you very much. Muhsin, thank you. Yeah, it's Prof normally. Umayman Nadiri, sir, what do you think of this topic? My research, the relationship between growth mindset and BA English students' willingness to communicate. Very good one. But what do you mean by growth mindset? Means the feeling that they are grown up and that they are mature. That's nice, yes. I mean, it's how they conceive of themselves, how they think of themselves, okay? Students' willingness to communicate, that's a very interesting idea. That's true. You can correlate the two variables, of course, to see if, the more we feel that we are grown up, that we are adults, the more we are willing to communicate, or when we are, because there are people who feel that they are still young towards the adolescence, they are more of adolescence, etc. That can be an issue, that can interfere with their willingness to communicate. Umayma, I think I confirmed that this is a good topic, of course. You can investigate. Amin Muhsin, Umayma. Oh, what a name. Guys, I got my BA abroad and I'm working like my people to help me with some basics of research, data and statistics. Thank you, Cal OO. If you join us in every single live, you can ask questions the way our friends here have asked questions. Of course, it's either me or our friends here. We will certainly answer you with great pleasure. Sijawad Il Mazouzi, Mazouzi, I don't know because this is French, is written in French. Hello, doctor. Thank you. My question is built on what you have said about concept definition when the researcher finds different definitions which do not have the same meaning in the literature. Is it possible for him or her to provide his or her own definition in relevance? Look, it's a bit difficult because a concept, an operationalized concept, has to have some validation. That is to say, it should be rooted in something that was said before. If ever you choose to do that, you have to be very careful because you need to provide arguments for its meaning. But if you have your own definition, it should not depart in radical respects from the mainstream definitions that are known among researchers. أنا كنقول يستحسن ما تزعمش دير هذه القضية هذه. Certainly there are people who have maybe you can modify it somehow, you can modify no word just to meet your purposes, but not to provide a radically different operational definition of a concept. Okay. That's research topic. Mohsin. Yeah, Sim Azizi, I got you. Thank you. Okay, Fedwa says, I'm very proud of you. Barakallahu fika Fedwa, afak attas. Okay, thank you. You are a wonderful person. I'm honored and happy that you are from my region. Thank you, Fedwa. Fedwa is is my neighbor, and I, she's pursuing her studies, and on occasions we have discussions in relation to her topic, and she's doing a very good. She's someone who is motivated. So thank you for putting these words in my favor. Fidwa, barakallahu feek. Greetings to your father and to the family members. Thank you. Ali Wakil, I missed the answer. See, Ali, you need to go back to because I missed I forgot your questions. Okay, Rabia is asking a question, I guess. So let me just, Rabia, Rabia Spring. Okay, so where is this? Yeah, Rabia, is it a good idea to use secondary data in qualitative research? What do you mean by secondary data? I mean secondary references. Secondary data means data that were collected by other people. If this is what you mean, then you can use that, and you can just use the reference if you use that. You see, but there is no better thing than collecting your own data and working on it, Mr. Rabia, unless there is another meaning for this secondary data. This term that you have used here. Taya Usu, Ahlan Ustad, Ahlan wa Sahlan. How are you? Thank you very much, Taya. I'm very proud of you, she says. Buena suerte. Thank you very much. Indeed, I don't know if you have finished. Je ne sais pas si vous avez fini votre thèse. Ça fait longtemps qu'on n'a pas parlé, mais je ne sais pas. I don't know. Okay. Aisha. Thank you so much. That's Aisha Uzin, my former colleague, and she is now a researcher in literature. I hope she has finished. Thank you, Taya. I hope we'll hear good news about you. Si Mohsin says yes. Natalie, okay. Natalie says what? I think even French, we write the same way. Even in French, we write the same way. What are you talking about? Maybe that's a response to something Mohsin has said, perhaps. Has said, okay. Okay. Mohsin. Midoriya Izuku. We have a Japanese name here, I guess. Professor, concerning WH movement, I have something called theoretical evidence for copy theory. What does that mean? This deserves, Sarah, this deserves an independent session where we can talk about these things at length. Maybe if you would like to remind me in private so that I can use the board. I have a board here, if it's the first time, and I can use, the whiteboard pen to write all the trees. Okay, Midoriya, would you kindly remind me? I would love to have this so that maybe tomorrow or after tomorrow I can have a title like WH, or further ideas, or further analysis of WH, and I come back to, because these are heavily loaded terms, and the state of tiredness in which I am now. I'm afraid we cannot open up for this. Maybe tomorrow we can do that. I have no problem. But Midoriya, if you are there, if you can hear me now, I'd love to have, a message sent to my inbox. I'm just trying to cope with to deal with the answers or the suggestions relating to this topic first. Okay, Rabia. Yeah, Mohsin, Natalie, Mohsin, okay. Si Mohammed, writing scores, 6 students writing tasks, 2 tasks from each, so they will be gathered anyway, or corrected by 10 teachers following a rubric. So writing scores are continuous, age and gender are categorical. So you have here a dependent variable which is continuous, and the other variables are categorical. Easy. If you choose to deal with them separately because you have hypotheses, 2 hypotheses perhaps there, that's what I sense, then obviously you can, for teaching experience, scores, age and gender. Age, شوف إلا عندك age فيه 3 group, because you said they are categorical. If you have old, middle-aged, and young, for example, you have 3 levels for this independent variable. And you have 1 dependent variable. That's a one-way ANOVA test. One-way ANOVA, but please check for homogeneity, the homogeneity assumption by Levin's test, of course, or indicated by Levin's test. Okay. Then, yeah, you can go for this. If you find that the homogeneity is not satisfied, you can turn to the non-parametric equivalent, which is called Kruskal-Wallis. Okay. Thank you. Midoriya, okay. Isuku says, where is the live chat? It's not this one. No, I'm not saying live chat. I'm saying a live session like this one here that can be held tomorrow. Just send me a message in my inbox, remind me so that I can, make provision for tomorrow's live session, inshallah. Okay. Thank you, Professor, concerning the movements. I think I have answered this. Anyway, I'm just trying to finish these things. I don't want to leave any comment unanswered. Oh my God, I was intending to spend just 1 hour and I found myself spending the double. Anyway, Hanan says, hello, Professor. How can we find the topic of our research? If I decided to conduct research about Amazigh language, where can I find the resources? It depends. If you are conducting research on the Amazigh language, you can send me a message and I can do the rest. I can help you in that regard, of course. But please start with something or think of something that you think you will enjoy. Because research, if you conduct research without enjoying it, it's not good. But I see that, for example, Hanan, since you have chosen Amazigh, it means that you like to work on issues like these. So just go ahead for that. You can choose to work on the phonology, the morphology. There are issues that need, for example, the construct state. Just type the construct state in Amazigh in Google and you will get a lot of PDFs, and I can help in that regard because there are some of the issues that are not unsolved. And I really don't know the dialect that you intend to investigate. But anyway, whatever dialect there is, there are these residual issues that have as yet been unaccounted for. Okay? Hanan, thank you. Ilyas El-Ghazi says, hello, dear Professor. Could you please explain the methodology of theoretical linguistics? Is it qualitative in nature? Data can be collected through... okay. هنا غادي نقول شي حاجة. هنا بلاتي. شتي هنا سأسكت قليلا. علاش? Because there are students, I don't know, for one reason or another, they believe, I don't know, but they believe that because they overhear this issue, this obsession with the methodology chapter. شوف, the methodology chapter is only for field work, generally field work or something that has to do where there are instruments, you will analyze data that you gather, that you collect. You see, you need a chapter for that. But for a research on the morphology of Moroccan Arabic, for example, do you need a methodology chapter? No, you don't. Why? It's because especially if you are a native speaker, data will come from you. So all that you need to do, maybe at the level of the introduction, you can talk about, the sources of data. It's a section called data. Call it just data, okay? And then you say that data comes from my own introspection because I am a native speaker. That's it. You see? So it's mostly, if it's the theoretical linguistics, means that you are doing syntax, phonology, morphology, semantics, pragmatics. No, there is nothing. It's highly unlikely to be quantitative unless there is probably a hypothesis, but it's very rare. Honestly, it's very rare. Okay? So mainstream theoretical linguistics is just theorizing based on a reduced, by the way, it's a reduced data set rather than on larger data sets. And then you draw conclusions to substantiate a claim, to support a theory, to call into question claims of a given theory, etc. So I don't think you should, so you don't need that methodology chapter. Data can be collected for introspection. Yeah, introspection, that's true. But details are rarely discussed. Yeah. شوف, you don't need anything called methodology chapter. اش غدير في هذا الميثودولوجي chapter؟ ياك الداتا ديالك كتقول it comes from introspection. say that in a very small section, يمكن gap paragraph. You see, you don't worry about that. Nobody will blame you on not including. Typically, these types of research, these types of theses do not include a methodology chapter. So fair. That's the thing. Okay, see, Karim, deciding whether to use an alternative hypothesis or not hypothesis relies on the previous literature. But it's equally good, this one here. Bulain, deciding relies on previous literature. No. شوف شو هو الفرق بين alternative hypothesis and the research hypothesis? A research hypothesis is the main one, is the one that you start with, the one that you derive from your objectives. You call it, a hypothesis. Null hypothesis is used. Some researchers do without the null hypothesis, and nobody moves a finger. You see, but since you have invoked this concept of the null hypothesis. Null hypothesis is not mentioned until the analysis phase, the analysis part. علاش? Because conducting a statistical analysis is not an attempt to prove a hypothesis. No, it's actually an attempt to reject the null hypothesis. It boils down to the same thing. For example, you say, your hypothesis is males and females will perform differently on a given test. Males and females will perform differently on a given test. That's a research hypothesis. Okay? Null hypothesis, it will not perform differently. Or will perform in the same way. Because differently, the logical opposite of differently is the same. So, what is a null hypothesis actually? It's the logical opposite of the research hypothesis, and generally the null hypothesis is not mentioned until the end. It's implied, of course. It's implied. We need a real hypothesis, but to each quantitative hypothesis, there is an implied null hypothesis. So speaking of a null hypothesis comes at the phase or towards the phase where you start analyzing your data statistically. Okay? Thank you. Okay. Si Hassan says, Professor, what do you think about my PFE attitude of Moroccan university students within prefer QCM or traditional exam paper? Si Hassan, if you are, I guess, from the way you wrote I guess you are a beginner researcher. I think you are at the level of S6. لا مزيان, it's good. I prefer to see someone working on whether students prefer multiple choice or they prefer the traditional way, for example, essay or whatever. I think it's a very good thing. Just go ahead. I think the title needs to be. There are certain little mistakes, but I think it's just because you are chatting, you are writing the chatting. But the topic is very good. See, Hassan, just go ahead and analyze. Very good one, actually. Okay. Natalie says, is it possible to change the thesis topic for a PhD mentioned in the proposal after starting working on it? Yes, there are possibilities depending on your supervisors. The supervisor might want to take you into probably another direction within the same area, for example. Yeah, there is. It does not mean that. Writing is a process. Writing is a process. Nothing is fixed. Between the proposal. علاش كنديروا البحث في الدكتوراه مثلا؟ What for؟ إلا كنت غنخلي داكشي اللي عندي في البروبوزل من هنا ما تكمل 4 سنين انا نكون ديفلوبيت au niveau ديال سميتو académiquement. I will have matured. I will have known things that I did not know before. In fact, there are many people who might want to look, who may look at their thesis with a lot of regret. They say, where was my mind when I wrote this? So عادي جدا. It's but this does not mean that your hypothesis should be just a draft like that. You have to take it very seriously. You, Natalia, I know you take things seriously. But generally, students, have to spend enough time and enough effort on writing the proposal, because it's a key document that will help you carve a position as a doctoral student at one of the laboratories. Omar says, Professor, is there an agreed upon number of pages for a PhD proposal in the field of linguistics? شوف, see Omar, no, there is not. But there are certain institutions that require the proposal to have this number of pages. كيكتبوها في الإعلان كيقول لك البروبوزال يكون فيه هذا. But if not, the proposal should come in a reasonable enough number of pages where there is not much talk, just like that. Just be to the point. Call a spade. You know, you have clear objectives. Show that you have read some references, a tentative literature review. You see, tentative outline, methodology, etc. Try to detail, how you intend to go about it. There are many, by the way, examples or prototypes, examples on the internet. Just look at 3 or 4 of them and do as these do. That's the thing. But in a research proposal, understand that your proposal should be written in such a way as to, because the purpose of the doctoral proposal is to convince the jury members to take you, to say that you are a good student, therefore you deserve to be called upon for the interview, where you need to justify what you have written on the proposal, because they will ask you questions. But you have to pay attention also to the details there, including the way you write your name, spelling of the university's name, the way you write name of the university, the title, capitalization, all those details matter, just to tell you the truth. Because no supervisor would wish to start with a problematic case. Someone, for example, who does not pay attention to those details, people may not. The assumption in the doctor, program is that you have suppressed all the problems relating to language. You see, okay. But if you take enough time to write a proposal, then of course you will produce a convincing one. I wish you all the best. Okay. Hassan, I think I answered you. I don't think there are unanswered questions here. I was going to ask similar question. Okay, that's very nice. Can you help? I don't think the professor can read my comments. Data that's available in the internet, social media. Okay, Midoriya, I'm afraid I did not read your comment. I read some of them, but I don't know whether you heard my response or not. And that's the reason why I asked you to probably think of sending me a private message so that I can plan a live session for that. Nathalie Leblanc and Mustafa Morshid, I think that this is an exchange between you and Nathalie. Thank you. Okay. Et voilà. There is Youssef Abu Faris. ياك وقيل هادو محسن ماموني. Yusuf, hi sir, I'm working on the impact of peripheral learning on students' vocabulary. Is using pre-test and post-test the only way to investigate the impact? Hi sir, I'm working on the impact of peripheral learning on students' vocabulary. That's a very good way. You can opt for an experimental, quasi-experimental design, so that you will need a pre-test, a treatment, and then a post-test. That's one way of doing it, especially if you think of introducing this method referred to as peripheral learning. Find a way of having students using this method. You need a pre-test and a post-test here if you have this type of design. But if you are just exploring teachers' views or students' perceptions, you don't need anything in there. Just report what the students and teachers say about it. Okay. And then read. Right. Yeah, of course I would love to. And Abu Faris, I think I have answered. How can I analyze my data? Mixed methods after conducting it, and tips that would help me do this, please. Hanan, Hanan says, how can I analyze my data? It's a mixed method after conducting it. This, شوف, in order to help you analyze your data, I need to have a look at your hypotheses and at your variables, therefore, just to tell you how to analyze it, okay? I need to know how many groups, what variables you have, and then I will help. If you could send me your hypotheses to my inbox, I can just type my answer there. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ilyas Al-Ghazi. I think we are almost done, unless there is someone. Jannatul Rahman, I want to rewatch it. Salam, hi, I want to watch it. Okay, Jannatul Rahman, you will find it there. Thank you. Okay, my dear friends, I think so we have had enough. I would like to thank you very much for your attention and your attendance. And if there are people watching me here who have not subscribed, please subscribe. Okay, subscribe to this page so that we can revive it again. أهلا سي أحمد فين كنت مخبي سي أحمد. Okay, thank you, Professor. Should researchers include different research gaps that exist in the literature, or just one is enough? At least one. But if because your research starts with one gap. You see, you need to have one gap to set off with your research, and then from one gap you can have a number of objectives. Okay, so one gap, life is good with that. All right, you can conduct your work very comfortably. All right, thank you, everyone. I'm afraid I'm a bit tired, and okay, let's meet on another occasion, inshallah. I will post an announcement for that. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Have a good time, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Soufiane Al-Allam, Sinajib Al-Umri, thank you, my friends. Allez, see you inshallah so soon. Mohamed Tamimi. Yeah, please لا الميساج صيفط البرايفت باقي ما شفتش اخويا البرايفت سي محمد. الا كان كومونتير راه ما شفتوش فاسمح لي راه غيكون I may have skipped it. سي محمد بوكني في بارك الله فيك. You are still with us, that's really nice. عمر, thank you سي عمر. Thank you سي فهد. Thank you Natalie. Have a good time everyone. الاخ اللي قال لي راه صيفط لك الميساج, الله يخليك صيفطوا لي في البريفي باش نجاوبك ان شاء الله. Okay, يلا محمد Tamimi, paste it please, paste your message please, so I can answer you. I'm afraid, but it's good. I'm afraid I did not notice it, but it's good now that you are reminding me. Just paste it here سي محمد. ما غاديش نمشي حتى نشوف الميساج ديالك. It looks like Mohammed is not here with us. Voilà, yalla Si Mohammed, tell us about your request, and we will not go until we answer it, and I apologize because I did not notice it. All right, so شوف Si Mohammed, if you can hear me, send it عفاك to the inbox. Yalla, bye bye everyone. Thank you once again.